Anomie and strain theory are, along with learning and control theories, the three main groups of theories that form the foundations of criminology. While the foundations of this theory was laid by Robert Merton in 1938, the theory has been revised and advanced over the years with revisions by Cohen, Rosenfeld and Messner, and Robert Agnew. In the second part of the chapter, we will examine Albert Cohen's theory on the origin and content of a delinquent subculture and Messner and Rosenfeld's institutional anomie theory. Albert Cohen's work is one of the important empirical extensions of Merton's theory. His book, Delinquent Boys, The Culture of Gangs, published in 1955, studied the subculture of gangs that operated in urban slums. He therefore drew from the work of both Robert Merton and the Chicago School. Cohen examined how the strain theory could be applied to the study of juvenile gangs in urban areas. He examined the origin and impact of delinquent subculture. Where did the subculture come from? Why did the subculture have specific social distribution and tend to grow in urban slums? Why did the subculture have a particular content? Why does the values persist from generation to generation? Cohen argued that the delinquent subculture, like other subcultures, arose in response to a problem that the people involved face. He argued that human action is an effort to solve problems. Problems create a certain tension, a disequilibrium, and a challenge. The inability to achieve conventional financial status and goals is a problem. Cohen argued that delinquency is caused by goal blockage. The goals that the underclass youth aspired for were both financial and status goals. Inability to achieve conventional goals is a problem that the youth in poor urban slums face. Lower class youth face disadvantages in their efforts to achieve financial success and status in conventional institutions. Poor children lack early socialization and resources to compete with children from. They therefore fail to achieve financial and status goals. The strain of the class-based status is conducive for the growth of a subculture that values delinquency. The delinquent subculture is a solution to the problem by producing a criterion of status which the youth can meet. The lower class youth reject the middle class goals and norms that they have been taught to desire and by which they have been judged as inadequate. They substitute the middle class standards with values that are opposite to those cherished by the middle class. The middle class valued private property and respect for the individuals. The delinquent gangs valued destruction and theft of property and aggression against others. Therefore, the culture is a non-utilitarian, malicious and negativist culture. Cohen elaborated the process of forming and the sustenance of a subculture. While the middle class valued ambition, responsibility, rationality, courtesy, control of physical aggression, the new subculture valued truancy, violence, and vandalization of property. The non-utilitarian and malicious culture is not approved by the larger society and results in a loss of status in the outside group. A response to this is to devalue the goodwill of the middle class and to cultivate a hostile and contemptuous image of the mainstream groups. This step is necessary to protect self from any concern of what others might think. The youth who face a common problem gravitate towards one another and establish the new norms. The sequence of development of the subculture is as provided below. The lower class youth who are disadvantaged in their efforts to achieve middle class standards of success and status. They are denied status in respectable society because they cannot meet the criteria of the respectable status system. Individuals try to seek solutions from among those already available in the social milieu. However, when problems become too difficult, they look around for a group with a different subculture. This occurs when there is interaction between actors with similar problems of adjustment. Members broach innovative behavior that is welcomed in reaction by others. This may result in a mutual exploration and joint elaboration of a new solution. The new subculture provides a status system sanctioning behavior tabooed by the larger society. The acquisition of status within the new group is accompanied by a loss of status outside the group. The typical solution to the problem is to devalue the goodwill and respect of larger societies whose respect is forfeited anyway. The new subculture promotes a hostile and contemptuous image of the larger groups and society. Non-conformity with expectations of the outsiders become a criteria for status within the group. The lower class youth reject the middle class goals and norms and substitute them with oppositional values. Because society continues to present each new generation of urban youth with the status problem, a structural basis exists for the persistence and continuation of the delinquent norms. Once in existence, the subculture assumes a reality of its own, and this criminal culture can be transmitted to youth in the neighborhood. Cohen borrowed William White's typology of the college boys who are upwardly mobile in contrast with the corner boys who remain in the local community deprived of the American dream. They were ill prepared to achieve the American dream and therefore was attracted to the alternate subculture. Cohen, who was a student of both Robert Merton and Edwin Sutherland, advanced the understanding of origin of crime using the strain theory, the theories of the Chicago School, and the learning theories of crime. Robert Merton's social structure and anomie highlighted that the United States had a high rate of crime and explains why certain groups are more likely to engage in crime than others. Messner and Rosenfeld expands on this theory and tries to explain the high rates of crime in the United States. They argued that the high rates of crime in the US is rooted in the social reality and the emphasis on pursuing the goals of monetary success. They point out that the criminological theories should explain the phenomenon, and one of the reasons why there has been less focus on this has been due to the dominance of the individual level explanations of causation of crime. Messner and Rosenfeld posit that macro-level explanations of crime in the United States can be developed from Merton's proposition that the source of crime is in the cultural commitments and social arrangements in the American society. The prevalent social structure and excessive emphasis on the American dream and the strain caused in achieving the goals are the root causes for increased crime in the US. They therefore develop on the social structure and anomie theory and argue that the excessive emphasis on achieving monetary success results in a breakdown of norms and adopting of any methods to achieve success. Expanding on Merton's anomie theory, they focused on the importance of social institutions and their role in regulating human conduct. Imbalances in the relationship between social institutions could have an impact on human behavior. They argue that there is an excessive domination by the economy on society compared to other institutions in society, such as family, schools, or the polity. The interplay between the quest for monetary success and social institutions result in imbalances and the inability of social institutions to regulate human conduct, resulting in larger levels of crime. What they imply by this is that the excessive emphasis on economy results in other institutions such as families, schools, and polity being impacted and transformed to achieve economic goals. This leads to social imbalance. Merton had not defined the American dream. The term refers to the commitment to the goal of material success to be pursued by everyone in society through open individual competition. Merton went on to assert that while the American dream had the positive impact of encouraging ambition and achievement in society, it also led to an economic imbalance. This economic imbalance was caused by the de-emphasis on using legitimate means to achieve the desired goals. The de-emphasis resulted in adoption of improper and illegitimate means for achieving the American dream. These economic tendencies arise from the basic value orientation that form the foundations of the American dream. The four such economic tendencies identified by Messner and Rosenfeld are achievement orientation, dualism, universalism, and monetary rewards. They are shown on the table on the slide and are discussed in detail in the next slide. The first such value orientation is the achievement orientation. The achievement orientation is fostered by the social belief that society assesses the value or worth of a person on the basis of what he has achieved. There is a great pressure to become successful as it is a measure of social worth. This results in the stress to win the game by any means. The second value orientation is individualism. Individualism encourages people to make it on their own and not depend on others in the journey to achieve success in society. Others in society are seen as competitors and in the person's effort to achieve the prescribed cultural and social goals. This drive to succeed on the basis of individual effort results in disregard of normative restraints on their individual behavior. The lack of social attachment to others would result in an absence of advice and cautioning to rethink decisions to disregard social norms, which may lead down the slippery slope. The third value orientation is universalism. The social norms require that everyone aspire to advance in society and each one is evaluated on the basis of their individual achievement. This leads to immense social pressure on each and every person to pursue success. As everyone does not have the same share of talent and social support to succeed in life, this would result in the same amount of pressure to succeed but with differential resources. The social value orientation of universalism would therefore lead to at least some to adopt wrong means to achieve the goals. The last value orientation cherished by the American culture is success. Success is measured in terms of money accumulated. Society accords a high place for monetary wealth of an individual. This value orientation is an index of the degree to which materialism is given importance in American society. The unending pursuit of money encourages people to disregard the normative restraints prescribed by society which may impede personal growth. To sum up, the achievement orientation, individualism, universalism, and the pursuit of money are distinctive cultural dimensions of the American dream. These dimensions of the American dream lead to a normless or anomic quest for success, result in high levels of crime. However, Messner and Rosenfeld assert that Merton's critique of American society is only a partial explanation of the occurrence of high levels of crimes in the United States. For a complete understanding of the crime phenomena in the US, identification of the social structural underpinnings of the American culture and its associated strain towards anomie and normlessness needs to be examined. Social institutions are the building blocks of society. These institutions establish the norms and values, statuses and roles, the different groups in society, and regulate human conduct for meeting day-to-day needs of society. They regulate human conduct to meet the basic needs of society, including mobilizing and deploying resources for achieving collective goals and socializing members to the norms of society. The importance of social institutions examined by Messner and Rosenfeld are the economy, polity, the family, and education. There are other social institutions that the theory has not considered. The economy as an institution is primarily oriented towards organizing the production and distribution of goods and services. This institution is therefore to meet the basic material requirements for human existence. It has an impact on quality of life and progress in society and therefore has predominant importance in the minds of the people and the stability of the country. The polity of an institution focuses on mobilizing and distribution of power in society. It is established for the purpose of achieving the collective goals of society, which include public safety. In the US, it operates mainly through the local government, the state government, and the federal government. There are other political institutions in society which complement and supplement the functioning of the main governmental institutions. As a social institution, primarily addresses the important needs of maintaining and replacing members in society. It involves raising children through physical care and nurturing, socializing them into the values and beliefs of the dominant social mores and cultures, providing emotional support to its members, and protecting them from the rigors of social life in larger society. Family is one of the most valued institutions in American society. The fourth institution is education. The educational institutions such as schools and colleges and the process of education transmits cultural standards to the younger generation. They prepare the next generation for occupational roles in the industry and the market and also aid in the development of their full human potential. Education as a social institution has far-reaching impact in maintaining and changing society. It is not only the functioning of the four social institutions that are important, but also the interconnections among the institutions that is central for analysis of crime. There is a high degree of overlapping and interdependence between the different social institutions during their functioning. For example, of the economy is dependent on the functioning of the educational institutions for developing and providing quality human capital, and the functioning of educational institutions are dependent on how well the families are in socializing children to the dominant social mores and culture. Similarly, the functioning of a family is very much dependent on the functioning of the polity to ensure a society with social order and public safety. There is therefore a high degree of cooperation and coordination among the different institutions. Despite the requirement of cooperation and coordination among the institutions, sometimes there is conflict between the different institutions. Messner and Rosenfeld state that the conflict is visible in the manner in which there is a stark contrast between the values of two institutions of the economy and family. Family relationships are regulated by norms of particularism and position of an individual in the family. In contrast, economic relationships, especially in the industry and business, require a universalistic orientation based on an achievement criterion. People occupy and progress in the organization on the basis of their capacity to successfully perform their duties and responsibilities. There is therefore a tension between the normative orientations of the family and the economy. Societies are characterized by a distinctive arrangement of social institutions which reflect a distinctive institutional balance of power. This is related to the larger culture of society. The institutional anomie theory attempts to demonstrate that the relationship between the larger culture of society and the institutional balance of power and how it impacts the level of crime in society. The United States is a capitalist society. Capitalist societies have a competitive and innovative spirit and are characterized by private ownership and control of property and free market mechanisms. For the economy to maximize profit, innovation is required, and there would be need to replace conventional methods with new techniques. The society is marked by an exaggerated emphasis on monetary success and unrestrained innovation. The innovative spirit resists regulation. The extreme forms of capitalism is because the institutional balance of power is towards the economy, which dominates other social institutions. The institutions of economy has an unusual dominance on other institutional structures in society. Economy's dominance is manifested in three different ways, which are devaluation of other social institutions such as education, family, and the polity, the accommodation of other institutions to economic requirements, and the penetration of economic norms into other institutional areas. The three methods of dominance are explained in the next slide. The devaluation of education is seen in the process in which education is not undertaken for the sake of knowledge itself but for the purpose of occupational attainment or getting a job. The acquisition of knowledge and learning for its own sake is not highly valued. Therefore, fields of studies such as philosophy or literature are not valued as economically more remunerative fields of study such as computer science, law, business, or engineering. Educational institutions are likely to accommodate the demands of the economy by preparing students for good jobs which are in demand in the labor market. Schools themselves are dependent on the economy for financial resources, with companies and business leaders investing in colleges and universities so that trained manpower is available for their businesses and industries. The penetration of the economy into the educational institution is seen in how schools rely on grading systems and linking them to getting better wages in the labor market. Education is oriented for getting better rewards in the economy, and all teaching is oriented towards testing to provide evidence of competence which can be used in the labor market and businesses. The phenomenon of devaluation, accommodation, and penetration by the economy of the institution of polity and family is explained here. We will not go into the details of the same. To sum up, in the institutional anomie theory, Messner and Rosenfeld combine Merton's theory on the impact of social orientation on the American culture and the dominance of economy on social institutions, and how it in its entirety causes higher crime rates. Merton's argument was that the four social social orientations of achievement, individualism, materialism, causes anomie in American society, which in turn results in a pressure for monetary success, but with little emphasis on the means uh, to adopt it, which results in higher crime rates. This is combined with the social structural factors of the institutions of economy, polity, family, and education, and how they interact with each other, and how the economy dominates the other institutions, resulting in disturbing the balance of power and facilitating individuals to pursue monetary success by adopting illegitimate means, resulting in high levels of crime. The overall impact is higher levels of crime in society. This is summed up in the schema provided on this slide.